Well, I'd like to welcome Chris Crisologo to Steve Tees Off, brought to you by riversidegolf.ca, Kenny Poirier and the team down there. This podcast would not be possible without them. Chris, you are a returning guest.
Yes.
And we're very happy to have you here. You are a Simon Fraser University graduate. We'll just briefly go through things. We're going to talk about I'm going to sort of do an overview of what we're going to talk about, the world of, and I say often, brutal reality of pursuing professional golf. We examine why golf remains one of the sport's purest meritocracies, how it differs dramatically from team sports like hockey and baseball that have established minor leagues. We've talked about this before, how digital media, YouTube influencers, and golf instruction content have disrupted traditional pathways to success. And we're going to talk a little bit about the Vancouver Golf Tour, innovation, local development models, and how things have shifted from an instruction perspective, and not just an instruction, but from a learning perspective, from I'll say the written word, being a Luddite myself, to the world of YouTube creators. And welcome again.
Thank you for having me.
And Chris, you are an SFU golf grad. You are a professional golfer, have played on the Tour Americas, PGA Tour Americas, and sort of give us the Reader's Digest very briefly, once again, about your path here.
Okay, so I turned pro actually in the fall of 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And in doing so, we know 2020 wasn't a year that was anyone's, use. So COVID hit, and then in 2021, that was my kind of first crack at a Q school type of thing. And so Q school is basically a qualifying tournament that gets you into the tours, that specific tour that you're trying to play on. And at that year, they actually moved the Canadian tour down to the US and called it the Form Tour. And I was able to actually get status and start on the Form Tour in 2021. So I was down there for 8 weeks in 2021. 22 and 23, I played on the PGA Tour Canada, which is a branch off the PGA Tour Americas right now. In 22, I actually also earned my Korn Ferry card. I had conditional status, so I had a Korn Ferry Tour card in 23 as well.
How many starts do you have on that?
I only had one.
Okay.
And the funny story was I went down, and we can go through the whole Korn Ferry Q School debacle as well later.
Yeah.
So I got one start down in Santiago, Chile. And then in 24 and 25, the last couple of years, they merged the PGA Tour Americas from the PGA Tour Latino America and the PGA Tour Canada. They combined the two tours and made it the PGA Tour Americas. So I've played on the PGA Tour Americas for the last couple of years, and then I'll have status and conditional status again for this year in 26.
Okay. There's been a change. There's 3 tiers of professional golf now, like really, like we're talking North American kind of thing. There's the PGA Tour, which is the top 100. And then you get to the Korn Ferry, and what's the Korn Ferry is how
well, if you look at the structure of the PGA Tour, you have the PGA Tour, and they have about somewhere between 200 members,
mm-hmm.
and then the Korn Ferry Tour has about 200 members, depending on how many people qualify into final stage Korn Ferry Q School or PGA Tour Q School, and then you have the PGA Tour Americas, which is the tour I'm on, which is that third level, and depending on how many people there are at Q School, there's somewhere between 250 members. So the numbers plus or minus, give or take, but that's where we're kind of sitting at.
And when there's a tournament, how many players get into that that tournament?
So you look at the PGA Tour, somewhere between 144. Obviously, they're cutting some. It's the signature events. It's only 80 guys, mm-hmm. and then 144 to 156, depending on daylight and the time the events play at. Same with the Korn Ferry Tour. I think last week, there's 132 players, I believe, and then it goes up to 156. And then the PGA Tour Americas is 144, and then it goes to 156 once we get up here to the North American swing. So,
Okay. And the prize money, there's a dramatic
Yes.
swing in the prize money.
Yes. Well, you look at the numbers that the PGA Tour is making versus the guys on the Corn Ferry Tour versus the guys on the PGA Tour Americas. It's quite big. There's obviously a reason behind it. The guys on the PGA Tour, the guys getting the views, they're getting all the endorsements, all the sponsors, and all the money that goes towards making sure they stay on that tour. The Corn Ferry Tour has gotten better. It's the prize pool has improved in the last
first
few years.
prize is what, 150?
I think so.
Yeah, something like that.
Something around those lines. And then first prize on the PGA Tour Americas, I think, is 42.
42 or something.
Yeah.
A number around there.
Give or take, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the prize money distribution, and this is one thing I had asterisk here. On the PGA Tour, if you're finishing top 10, you're doing pretty damn good. On the Corn Ferry, if you're finishing top 10, are you?
I mean, it's still pretty good.
Okay.
It's
now the
reasonable.
Tour. Okay. Now the Tour Americas, the PGA Tour Americas, top 10.
I mean, with the amount of travel that we put in and the ins and outs of it, you're hoping to break even, I think. But if you took, I think I did a deep dive on it, and it was 15th place, you would look to break even on, if you're on the points list. If you're looking to break even on the year, which, doesn't seem as nice as it seems.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So your current status is that you are, your plan is that you're probably going to be going down to South America.
That's the hope. The hope. Right now, with how everything lies, I'm waiting for Q School and the qualifying tournament, see which players get through Q School and in the number system.
Where is that Q School being held?
So there's 5 of them.
5 of them.
And they're held all in the U.S. right now.
Okay.
I think they have a site in maybe 2 sites in California, a site in Alabama and whatnot. And right now, my category for the PGA Tour Americas is from last year's results. I was inside the top 8, or I was 80 to 100 on the points list.
Okay.
So that puts me kind of down at the bottom of the pecking order right now. Mm-hmm. But depending on how many people plan to travel down to South America, my number actually might get into the fields.
Okay.
Because I was, I think, 83rd on the points list last year. So it gets me high enough to hopefully get in. And if not, I'll kind of just wait for the Canadian swing and do some money qualifiers that way.
Okay. So that's your current situation.
Yes.
I'll ask you, this is out of left field. Would you be eligible to get a sponsorship exemption into a Corn Ferry event?
Yes. So every tour has their own sponsorship designations, and it's written down all in the field lists, but I'll use the PGA Tour Americas for an example because I know the system a little better. Mm-hmm. They have sponsor invites into the tournament, and they have basically unrestricted sponsored invites and restricted sponsored invites. The restricted invites only go to members of that tour. So if you're a member of the PGA Tour Americas and you're not in that field, you can ask for a restricted sponsored invite, which is basically your membership, and those are the only spots that your players are going to be coming from. The unrestricted exemptions, and you look at, I guess, this week at the American Express, Blaze Brown, he's an unrestricted invite because he's not a member of the PGA Tour. So he actually can play in as an unrestricted sponsor's invite.
Is he even in college?
I think he just graduated high school.
Yeah.
It's amazing to see.
So ask you this. This is just another question that comes.
Okay.
If he finishes, say, second or third, do you have to say I'm turning pro before the tournament starts?
Well, he's on the Corn Ferry Tour.
Okay. So he's pro.
So he's a pro. Yes.
So, but the question I'm asking is that you as an amateur, let's just say hypothetically, well, you were in the Canadian Open. Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. And you go in there as an amateur. Do you have to declare that you're going in as a pro before the tournament starts? Or can you, if you're sniffing the money, can you go, I'm pro now?
No, so you have to declare before the
Okay.
tournament starts.
Stupid question. but a
No,
question.
no, it's a good question because there's obviously amateurs that get a chance to play in some of the tournaments as an unrestricted sponsors invite, and you have to declare you're turning pro before the week starts to get paid too.
Yeah. Okay.
But I think there is a system where if you do place well enough as an AM, let's say you finish in the top 10, you roll over and actually get an invite into the week after because top 10s get spots into the next week. So there's an opportunity there for as an amateur or a non member of the tour to hopefully work their way onto whatever tour that they're playing on.
Okay. Answer the question. Okay. So we talked a little bit about the prize money. There are the other tours that are out there, but all of these things require money. They require support.
Yes.
You can't play. The game is and I use this word, and everybody gets, it's a meritocracy where you have to perform. You have to play well, and it's not like any other sport where you don't have a team to rely on. It's you.
Yes.
Okay. And the fact is that you can't just make a decent living in the minors in golf.
No, not at all.
Right.
Yeah.
You got to win, or you got to place well.
Yes.
And that's kind of like the gist of the discussion that we're going to, or the path that we're going to go down. And the minor league issue, and you and I have had some discussions about this, and baseball's got their minor league situation. They've got AAA, AA, high A, low A, rookie. 179 teams, 17 leagues. Not to say that you're going to become a millionaire playing, but you're going to get paid. You're going to have money to eat. There's guaranteed salaries at the higher levels. You can make a decent living. And it allows a player to, you can arguably spend 5 to 8 to 10 years developing. Okay. And there's farm system affiliations that provide pathways that, there's hockey is a prime example of it. Okay. Hell, you can go, you can be a reasonably good hockey player and go to the United Kingdom and play professional hockey and get paid fairly decently.
Well, even then you look at like the Toronto Blue Jays, for example, and Nathan Lucas and how many years he stayed in the minor leagues, and he was one of the top performers in the World Series this past year. So it's definitely interesting to see the other sports have a minor league system, and they do call like the PGA Tour Americas a developmental tour for them, where they don't want players to stick around for that, 5, 6, 7, 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
And you do want people pushing to get to the next level. But at the same time, there's so few numbers and there's not a whole lot of spots out there for anyone to kind of squeeze their way on. But if you do squeeze your way on, it's definitely worth the price.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to throw this out there. Should golf have a minor league system?
Golf already has a minor league system in the sense of the PGA Tour Americas and how it's
starvation system.
That's the other part that you're kind of looking at too, is how can they bring in support to increase help to the players? And they've started with the PGA Tour, and hopefully it runs all the way down with the support that players from the Korn Ferry Tour are getting a stipend on the PGA Tour now that they've figured out there is going to be a system for them to get up there. Now it's figuring out for them, can we support the lower players as they work their way up to the ranks? So yes and no, in a sense, where the system is nice to actually have an understanding of how a week goes on the PGA Tour. And that's the similarities from like the PGA Tour Americas to the Korn Ferry Tour to the PGA Tour, is how a week is going to work and what to expect going into it. And that's the learning curve that a lot of players that don't get the opportunity to play on those tours don't get. And then when they do get out there, it's more of a surprise.
So ask you this question. Could you go down to California and play some mini tour?
Yes.
Like, and is there, what's the prize money like in those?
Well, I think looking at something like the Asher Tour, for example, which is a mini tour down there, I think your entry fee is somewhere between $1,000 to $1,700, and you're being paid somewhere between $10,000 to $20,000. So your ROI isn't that high if you're kind of thinking of it, but it also gives you an opportunity to play and to play for money too.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a balance between going down there and playing the mini tours, and then spending the cost of actually getting priced out, basically, of playing.
So does those mini tours? It's in California. Is there one in Arizona?
Yeah. So
the
the Asher Tour runs, I think, in California and Arizona.
Okay.
From what I've known. Yeah.
Okay. And I would imagine Florida probably has the same.
And then Florida has a bunch of mini tours out there. I know there's the minor league tour, and then a couple of other things that I've kind of dabbled in down there.
But it all involves an entry fee, and
Yes.
it's for profit.
Yes. That's
It's a business.
it's a business for them too.
Yeah. Yeah. So, the brutal reality of the game is that, and I this is anecdotal, but I'm not going to say I could guarantee it, but if I went through, the top 125 players or 100 players on the PGA Tour right now, they didn't come from poor families. Would that be fair to say?
That's fair. I would say that's fair.
Even the kid that was leading the 18-year-old. What was his name again?
Blades Brown.
Blades Brown. That's a cool name.
It's a great name.
Blades Brown. And shooting really well, like playing really well. I can guarantee if I looked into his background, didn't come from a poor family. You got to have money to play.
For sure, especially I think that's in sports in general nowadays too. You look at other sports like tennis and hockey and travel hockey and baseball, travel ball. It's not cheap to travel.
Mm-hmm.
It's not cheap to give yourself an opportunity to play against the best and to learn and to compete. And that's how you develop as a player, is you're trying to compete against the best. And if you don't get that opportunity, it's kind of tough to do so.
So now I'm going to ask you some questions that your perspective. What's the financial burden of competing at the level that you're competing at?
Well,
and where do you you're hand to mouth, I don't. This isn't to belittle you at all. It's an admiration that you got to do it. You got to do what you got to do to get there. But what kind of coin do you need to have for a year, socked away, to be able to do this?
Well, I can give you the direct answer on it.
Give me the direct answer. Give it to me, Chris.
So at the start of every year, I'm kind of figuring out the budget of what my year is going to look like and the prize pool that you're going to play in tournaments and how much you can possibly make off of it. And if you played, for me, I think my budget was somewhere between, this is on the low side because I'm on, obviously the lower side and trying to make some money. Somewhere between $65,000 to $100,000 is, if you want to play in every single event that you want to play in, that's kind of the cost of playing professionally. Whether you make that money back on, that's all up to performance, and like you said, a meritocracy, where you're earning your money back too. But if you're going out there and trying to, just play all these mini tour events and get a whole schedule and a whole season in, it's somewhere between $65,000 to $100,000, and that doesn't include the U.S. Canadian currency conversion rates either.
So, how do you do that?
A lot of it's from people that I know and some of the financial support. The last few years, I was on the Golf Canada team, and they've given me support. They've given me some support financially that way, which I'm very appreciative of.
What about BC Golf or Golf BC?
They, it's tough for BC Golf and what their kind of role is in the golf world compared to, the national programs.
Okay.
So it's a little different that way.
So you basically have to go out and get the money yourself, is what you're saying.
Yeah. So a lot of the guys out there, they'll have sponsors and logos that they display for advertising and whatnot. And they'll do other things for, the companies that are supporting them. So whether it's a round of golf with them or a lesson or of some sort, they'll kind of get, it's a give and take where they're supporting a guy who's on one of the tours of the PGA Tour. They get some recognition, and on the off opportunity that they do get on the PGA Tour, well, they have a guy out there now. So that's always the talking point with from our perspective, from the pros' perspective, is the marketing side.
Is that, and this is another pointed question, is that a distraction?
It definitely is.
Points for honesty, kid.
For me especially, it's more of other so a lot of the time it comes down to who you know and the opportunities that you're given and taking advantage of the opportunities. So my first few years on the Canadian tour, Fortinet was actually one of my sponsors. So they put some cash up, and I was able to know one of the higher ups in Fortinet and get a chance to know him and talk to him and be a part of the team as an ambassador of Fortinet. And so I was extremely fortunate that way. And this is kind of why I'm still kicking around being a pro, is that for me, how my career has gone is I've had opportunities, or at least taken advantage of opportunities that weren't really there at the start. And then I've kind of just built, it's like, oh yeah, something great happened. Now we can keep going, building on that one. So that's kind of where my career's gone. It's like, okay, this hasn't been great. And then something comes up, and it's like, okay, now we can do it with more help and or just the more opportunities and just figuring out the game too.
So, like there must, and we had this conversation too, that there's a lineup of golfers like that are trying to get onto the Tour Americas.
Yes.
Like there's no shortage.
No.
Trying to get on. And on any given day, someone can go low, right? And continue to go low. You don't know. And so you would have to be somewhat reluctant to throw the towel in, because you don't know. You really don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah. And because when you go and you see an 18-year-old go out and shoot what, you're playing with the big boys, and, I don't know in the final group who he's paired up with, but that's got to be like in awe. You'd be in awe going, holy shit. Like who am I playing with here? He's the number one in the world.
Yeah.
That would be shocking as an 18-year-old. Like you'd have to take a step back.
It would be. But the way he's kind of handled things as the last few years, or at least the last couple of years, he's, I think it's just, getting the opportunity and taking advantage of it for him. And, kudos to him for sticking it, being there and, giving himself a chance at this tournament.
Yeah. So I'll say this and can it be done? Like, is there could there be a minor league system in golf? Like you say, there kind of is now, but could there be something better in your mind?
It's hard to fathom the meritocracy of golf and players playing their way on and players playing their way off. So it's tough to say that there's a minor league system because it's a free-for-all. You look at baseball and hockey, and they put they have their prospect pool. They put their coaching staff and beliefs into this player that they're trying to develop. And in golf, there really isn't, in a sense, someone trying to develop you. You're trying to develop yourself. And so that's the tough part with the minor league system is, sure, guys should be getting paid more, on the lower level tours, and there should be a way for, touring pros to make money. Where it shouldn't be just basically solely off sponsorships and endorsements and whatnot.
Well, Fraser Mulholland with the Vancouver Golf Tour he's attempted to address this. And when I asked him, what he really, he said more money. Like, we need more money. And that's what he has been trying to do for a number of years, is preparing, like he says, preparing tomorrow's champions. That's what he wants. And that makes him, that's a start at the very least. And it's a unique model that he's established. Does every province have something like
well, it's tough for
because they don't have the seasons,
exactly. Yeah. I know Ontario has a tour out there, but it only runs through the summer.
Yeah, because of the weather.
But the Vancouver Golf Tour is able to run year round, which is impressive on its own.
Yeah.
And for him to be developing champions, you give players an opportunity to compete. That's the biggest thing, is you have to give players a way to figure out how to score. How can we build players, or how can locally the Vancouver Golf Tour build players to be ready to go to Q school, to compete and to play well? And that's what they're doing at this current time, is giving players to do so and hone their craft, basically.
Like he's had, there's a number of success stories that have come out of there. But you competed on that tour?
Yes, and I think I do plan on competing in a couple of events this year as well too. So, yeah.
This year there's a good representation of Canadian players at the PGA level. There certainly is. But is there a gap there? And by gap I mean between the local level, like the Vancouver Golf Tour and tours like that, and the next level.
I would say the learning curve's a little different compared to, out there on the PGA Tour Americas. You're out there and you got to be shooting 59s out there, it feels like. Whereas, the locally, you can get away with a 68 and you're still in it. And that's kind of where the gap is figuring out how to score lower. The courses are tougher too at times, because locally, all the golf courses. You don't have to go out and do a practice round and do all that. But that's from my experience, that's where the gap is just players scoring lower. And if you have a bunch of players, you look at locally, Nick Taylor and Hadwin, and those guys grew up together trying to score low. So even look at guys like James Lepp, he was out there competing with those guys. That's what contributed them to be out there on the PGA Tour.
And to get better.
Exactly. They get better. You're always trying to get better. But if you're winning tournaments here locally and, shooting, your 68, 69s, 66s, you got to go out and shoot 59 out there at some points on the PGA Tour Americas too. And just knowing how to get those low numbers. And same with the PGA Tour. You look at the numbers out there this week, cut line's low.
Yeah.
So it's that's the learning curve with locally compared to kind of those, I guess, the mini tours of the PGA Tour Americas and the Korn Ferry Tour.
Let's talk a little bit here about, and we've discussed this a little bit before, but the YouTube golf revolution and the influencer economy and what's going on, and the massive amount of money that's being thrown around in regards to that. And we were kind of, before we started recording here, we were kind of talking about that. And like YouTube is inundated with golf instruction, everything is there. And there's a massive amount of money being thrown around. The top tier, like you see a guy like Bryson DeChambeau, I give him credit because I think he started his YouTube channel 10 years ago or something, like something like that. But now he's to the point where he can write his own ticket. And because of what's recently transpired with Live Golf, which was pretty interesting, I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah.
PGA's side to, specifically. But what do you like what do you think of that revolution that's taking place on YouTube specifically?
Well, first of all, I love what Bryson's doing. The YouTube and the content creation that he does is unique in itself because he's also playing, and he also, he can say,
he's damn good. He's good.
So that's, I have all the respect to Bryson and all the respect to the influencers and the YouTube content creators out there putting themselves out there to start. But at the same time, you have countless golfers working their butts off to get to the PGA Tour, and they have no recognition whatsoever. And it'd be interesting to see if we can gather more on that end and get the views. It's tough to figure out, that's where the money is, though. How, you look at even pro sports, how do they get money? It's all revenue off of views, viewership. The YouTube golf and content creators of the world are getting the viewers because people are genuinely interested in seeing how they play golf. It should be the same on our side too, where they should be interested in seeing how the pros play golf because, granted, we're probably way better than a lot of them out there. So that's kind of my intro into the YouTube golf creation part. It's
almost like I say this, that the a lot of the content that's on YouTube right now, I say a lot, and I could stand. It's entertainment driven.
Yes,
it's not really professional golf driven, and I'm guilty of, like, I get sucked down a rabbit hole of watching, something, like that is more entertainment than it is golf. Okay. And I don't know where that line is, to be honest with you. I do, because everything to me on the entertainment side is the same. Okay. So-and-so is going to try and, do a scramble and break 59 from the front tees. Okay. So what? Why do I want to watch that? If it's going to be entertainment, it should be, I look at it and go say, okay, entertain me. If it's professional golf, I want to watch professional golf. There's
exactly. And at the current state that golf is, a lot more people are driven towards entertainment instead of seeing the best in the world play golf. And I think obviously there's a fine line figuring out what's the best way to promote the professionals over the content creators. And that's still yet to be kind of discovered. Bryson's doing a really good job with it on his end. But I think a lot of us at the lower levels can learn and hopefully figure out a way to also endorse ourselves too as we kind of move towards our path towards
the one thing that Bryson DeChambeau has done is he's proved himself to be a personal brand himself. That's what he is. And that was, like, let's be honest, he was an asshole at the beginning. Okay. He was, everybody hated him, and he really worked on his image. And it worked. And I don't know if he could have done that while he was on the PGA Tour, or if Liv provided him that opportunity.
You might have a point there, actually, with the cookie cutter professional compared to someone who's on the Live Golf Tour like Bryson is, and the leeway that he's been able to get and give. So I think he might be on point from that perspective. But it's also trying to figure out how can we promote good golf at the same time.
See, one of the golfers I'm watching right now is Anthony Kim. I'm rooting for him. I am rooting for him, but I don't know where he's going to he's not like he didn't make the Live Tour, right?
Sure,
Or did he?
did. He did.
Did he this year?
He did.
You did?
Pretty sure he did.
You went to the qualifying event?
He went to the qualifying event, and
Okay.
I'm pretty sure he was the last spot in. I
Okay.
think he needed to make a par or something like that.
Is that right?
He made
Okay.
that par.
Okay. But I'm rooting for him. I like him.
Mhm.
And he's doing his own little thing, talking about his journey, being an alcoholic, whatever he was, kind of thing. Because I'd love to see him come back. That would be great. But he wouldn't. I don't think that like the PGA Tour wouldn't. I don't think they would allow that. They're Liv's given him that opportunity, and they gave him like last year. They gave him that opportunity to come on. Do you see Liv surviving?
I've always said I like the idea of a world circuit. Bring golf globally. Have teams. It's like, your F1s. You have a lot of market there. You can give people, and there actually would be a structure of a farm system where you have, okay, so we have guys who have been demoted. They can form their own teams.
They're
relegated, and, they're trying to work their way up. And so you have a farm system for that. That's the only, coming back to the farm system of pro golf and whatnot. And that's, that's my thought process behind Live. If they can get behind making it a global tour, making it teams, have sponsors go into the teams and have people buy in. It's kind of similar to what, TGL is doing, the teams that they have there. But if you have teams, then you have more people because you can substitute people in and you can develop them in the sense.
And if there was a hierarchy that you could work your way up.
Exactly.
Right? You could, yeah.
And there's people telling you, you're going to be here with us instead of, the free for all that, the system of the PGA Tour and Korn Ferry Tour Q schools and the free for all that is in that aspect.
One of the, and I'll tell you, this is because I'm an old guy here. Sitting here, one of the things that I miss about golf in today's golf is a lot of the players are cookie cutter. There's no characters out there. There's a few, okay, and I'm a believer that it's all right to show emotion. Like when you make a bad shot, you shouldn't. Like I'm not happy when I hit a bad shot. I don't know who is, but back and I hearken back to the old days where there were characters, and I'm not suggesting that you should be smoking while you're playing golf, but that's missing that, being who you are. And the closest that we have to that is, I think European players are more like that. They're more emotional than the North American players and American players. They all look the same. They all kind of dress the same. They're all like, but I think that I get why it's cookie cutter because of the money. Like the money, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. And one thing Liv did is it increased the pay pool for the PGA.
Yeah.
That's for sure. It did. But I miss the characters. I do. And I'm like, there, I can say this honestly, there's not really a golfer that I root for, that I cheer for anymore. Like there isn't. What's his name's buddy, Rory McIlroy's buddy, the Irishman, the other Irishman.
Shane Lowry.
Yeah. I like him. I do. Cause he says shit. Like he does. He speaks his mind.
Yeah.
He's not afraid to. And I like that about a player. Like you're a human being. Like, he makes comments. He'll, say something, talk to the gallery, whatever it is. But the game, and I suppose that's more of the entertainment portion of it. It is. And I get that, and maybe the YouTube end of things is filling that void. But I think that on the YouTube end of things, we're reaching a saturation point of just like, there's too much and there's too much content.
I think everyone that's in that realm who's, more recently at least coming out and putting content out there, they realized how much money there is involved, and they realized if they can do it, I can do it, and how easy it is to make that, to make a quick buck.
Mm-hmm.
I'd agree with the saturation point, and it's overdone at times, and there's not one brand that's unique in itself. They all seem the same.
Yeah.
So that's where the saturation point is probably nearing its end. But who knows?
We don't know. And the thing is that there is, and you see golf going in this direction, the entertainment appeal combined with the competitive element. And that's with when they played under the lights and they were hitting, I can't even remember what that was. That was about a month ago. You remember?
That'd be the Grass League, right? There's a par 3 contest down in Phoenix. It's called the Grass League, and it's like a 2-man scramble, and
they run.
There's other parts to it. There's so many different things that go on. I know the Grass League's a big one, where they get some entertainment value in there, and it's competitive. But there's so much out there. You could be tell me one thing, and then I could be referring to another. They all kind of seem the same at some points.
So and the other issue too, when we start talking about, is instruction overload, like just too much.
Mm-hmm.
There's just too much. And I'll speak. I'm going to give you kudos. I didn't give you kudos before, but the 45 minutes that I sat down with you, you taught me how to spin a wedge. You did.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I've never been able to do that. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
But I could never, I could watch a million YouTube videos on that, but I could never, I couldn't.
For sure. And YouTube instruction is also something that the whole golf industry kind of looks at. And the amount of people putting content out there, whether it's right or wrong, is, up for debate.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot wrong, in my opinion, out there on on instruction. I have some of my friends, and I think I'd like to know my way around a golf swing, and they come up to me and they're like, "Yeah, I saw this on YouTube. I'm trying this." I'm like, I'm looking at their swing. It's like, I think you should be doing the opposite of what whatever you're watching. Whatever you're watching, you should be doing the opposite. Mm-hmm. And what do you know? 15 minutes later, they're doing the opposite, and they're hitting it fine.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of that right now in the golf world as well. So that's also the frustrating portion of YouTube content creation, because they're getting the views, they're getting the money.
Mm-hmm.
Is it entirely correct on the instructional views? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. So it's tough to figure out who's in the right and who's in the wrong at this time too.
And it's like I've stopped doing it now. Like, I don't watch, and as my wife will attest to, I don't watch as much as I was, because I would be changing everything all the time, and it's a complicated enough game that I don't need to, be thinking about this, is my elbow tight enough or whatever it is. At the end of the day, you still got to put the ball in the hole. That's it.
But on that side, you look at someone like, actually, Tiger and Anthony Kim did a clinic. I don't know if that's on YouTube, but if you take a look at what they did and how they discuss how they shape shots, how they do certain things, that's what you should be looking at, not the instructors telling you, okay, this is the position you should be in.
Mm-hmm. And these guys have massive audiences, though. They do. And that is like, I don't know, like, Grant Horvath's a good golfer. Okay. He's a good golfer. But I don't know if like he gets whoever he wants to come on. And couldn't that be you, Chris?
It could be. He is obviously, the personality and starts and ground roots of already being there. So he's established himself as one of the bigger content creators in the world. Not just golf content creators, just content creators in general. And so with him being established, it gives him more opportunities to bring guys like, a Steph Curry or someone of the sorts to come in and do that. So I give him all the props to start, be able to gather people's attention and do that. Could I do it? I would love to, if I'm given the opportunity. But there's also time involved of, trying to be, one of the best golfers in the world or content creation. And I know a lot of content creators nowadays are, their schedules are busy. They can't practice as much as,
well, it's a production.
Exactly.
It's an actual production.
It's a production.
You look into it, it's
there's a lot of time involved for them, and it's an actual job.
Yeah.
So that's the balance of it, of, can you still do the content creation while playing golf and being the best you can possibly be? And I'd argue with the amount of time that's involved in the ideas and the time it takes to take a video, I'd argue no. So that's the balance between, do I want to go into content creation or do you want to go into the pro golf side? It's always a struggle because you see the amount of money that's been thrown around at the content creators.
And they have tournaments.
Exactly. And you kind of see what they do in tournaments as well.
They're not very good. I think that's right. They're not very good. I'll be honest. I watch it for 3 minutes. Oh, you're a hack, But the thing is, we live in a time now where everyone's a golf instructor. Like everybody, everyone has an opinion. They're like assholes. Everyone has, and I don't like. I certainly, you would ask me the question when was the last time I had a golf lesson? I said when I was 8 years old. But the thing is that I admittedly say that I'm a hack. I can hit a good shot. I can play well occasionally. But if I really wanted to get better, I know what I have to do. You know what you have to do.
Yeah.
There's no getting around it. And you'll be found out quite quickly if you're full of shit.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
But, and I'll ask you this question. Do you think the instruction explosion on you, is it helpful to the game or is it more harmful?
It's helpful to the game in the sense of getting people playing. You see, you have more people looking for, cheap advice, basically. You don't want to go out there and pay however much for, some guy like Sean Foley to teach you. You just want your quick tips and get more people out to the golf course. They're like, okay, I saw this, I'm going to try it out, and I'm going to spend money at a range or an indoor facility and just try it out. So in that aspect, it's growing the game. On the golf game itself and the people enjoying it, that's up for debate and seeing if they can improve on their game. So there, like I said, it's growing the game in the sense of getting more viewers, getting more attention, and bringing more people to the game. That's number one. We're trying to get more people into golf. Now it's helping them figure out how to play good golf is the second part.
Now, I'll ask, this is a personal question. How do you, as a professional golfer, filter out legitimate advice?
Trial and error.
Yeah?
Yeah, you got to try it. If some guy comes up to you and says, you're doing this wrong, well, we might as well try it. And if it doesn't work, I know what I've been doing before, so I can go back to what I was doing before. But it's all trial and error. Like I said with the spin things, if there's so many different ways to create spin, whichever works for you is what you're going to be using. Whether it's increasing the club head speed or reducing the radius of your swing, or just adding more loft. There's so many different ways to do so. It's just figuring out what's the best for you.
Do you staying on this YouTube theme? I, at times when I watch, it creates unrealistic expectations that if you just do this, this will happen. And golf ain't a game like that, man. There's so many permutations and combinations of shit that happen.
For sure.
That you can't, there's no way that, like if you just do this, this is going to, no, that's not how it works. Especially around the putting. Like, and I speak from that, from my, where I recently was. I was standing there watching these guys going, that's just wrong. That's not going to work. It's not going to work. But, but now, I would have to say that young aspiring professional golfers, like people, they have to be attracted to YouTube. There's no question, right? They're watching YouTube like crazy. And I guess there's no way to control whether or not it's good or bad content. It's through trial or error. You kind of answered that question. But in essence, what YouTube has done is it's the democratization of golf. Like it's brought it to the masses more than anything.
Exactly.
And that's good and bad. Accessibility is great, but bad information.
Well, that, and I'm more of a traditionalist in golf with, the rules and etiquette and being correct and proper on the golf course. And sometimes on YouTube, you'll see guys out there in, a cutoff shirt or something like that, or, stuff they shouldn't be wearing on the golf course. That's the other part of golf that I don't find correct, in a way where, there is an etiquette. It's a gentleman's game. So you have to have, some honor to it too. And so, that's the other part that YouTube brings in, or, just the general masses bring in, is they don't actually have proper etiquette. Just even like yelling "4" on the golf course isn't etiquette anymore, which is bizarre. So
yeah. So I'm like the old guard, and I talk about like Golf Digest. That was the authority. Okay. My dad used to subscribe to it, and he kept all of his copies of it.
My thought for you is if you did a Golf Digest, but kind of digitally.
That's not a bad idea.
Could be something there.
Yeah. It was the Bible. It really was. And there was authority attached to it.
There is, there's someone overseeing what was being put out. You had, who was it? Was it Pell's out there? I remember the flip books, the mini books that they had, and the instructions. I still remember those. And
he was putter. He was good at putting. I remember seeing him.
Pell's and Stockton were kind of the two big ones of instructions on the instruction side. And then they had their own stories from other golfers, and you can learn from that too. But if you did that digitally nowadays, especially with how people are kind of gathering information, there might be something there to it.
Yeah. Give me
some food for thought.
Yeah. So now, where are you going now? Like your plan is to go down south. Your plan is to continue in the direction that you're going. I'll tell you, I wish you nothing but the best. You know that. And but you must have like multiple opinions thrown at you, family, friends, and sort of, you have your own questions in your mind every day about what you're doing. And like you have to be committed to your, to what you're trying to accomplish.
So for me, I'm trying to work out a plan. So I'm trying to peak for the end of the year at Q School. because there's obviously Monday qualifying is tough, and getting into let's say the PGA Tour, Korn Ferry Tour is tough. And if you do get an opportunity in Monday qualifying, and you still have to make it, take advantage of it. But for me, I'm trying to devise a plan to start the year, obviously to continue to get some money financially, work our way through, and peak for the end of the year at Q School. So Korn Ferry Q School, and I guess PGA Tour Q School is the most important tournament of the year, because that sets you up for the rest of the year. Mm-hmm. So there's really only, I guess, 3 months of this, or 2 months of the time of stretch at the back half of the year is the most important part.
So that's what, September, October? No?
It'd be October, November, December.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have to be, everything that you're doing is getting ready for that.
Yes.
Kind of thing.
Peaking for the right time. There's obviously tournaments that I want to be playing in, like, the US Open mm-hmm. and the Canadian Open. So peaking, kind of small peak, or, just.
So you'll be going into qualifiers for the US Open?
Yes. I'll be signing up for those. I don't know when the entries, or, the entry, when they open up, and how everything is, and how my scheduling on the South American side. Because last year I actually skipped out a tournament in Mexico to play a U.S. Open local qualifier.
Okay.
So this year, hopefully, maybe a little more open to actually.
So do you have to win that? How do you?
So U.S. Open qualifiers, there's 2 stages of it. Mm-hmm. Your local qualifiers. Last year I went to, I think it was, where was I? I think I was in Boise, Idaho. Uh-huh. It was cold at that time too. It was like in May. So depending on how big the field is and the strength of the field is what they kind of look at. It'll be somewhere between 2 to 6 spots in the local qualifier, and it'd be out of like 70 to 80, 90 people.
And then you go to the next.
And then you go to the next one, and that's filled with all the PGA Tour guys, or the Korn Ferry guys, and guys who have already been exempt into it and just trying to play in it. So last year I played at Lambton. I think I was actually a few strokes. I was inside the number last year at Lambton after round 1. Mm-hmm. But didn't play well enough round 2. Played decent. Mm-hmm. I didn't shoot myself out of it. I just kind of got passed by some of the PGA Tour guys out there getting prepped for the Canadian Open. So that's kind of where I was sitting last year. So hopefully this year, with a little bit more experience and some preparation, be able to pick my site and pick a good spot to go to. Okay.
So in closing down here, I want to ask you, I never asked you before, what's and I apologize if I did before. What's the craziest or the funniest thing that you've ever seen on the golf course?
On the golf course? I mean, the crazy parts are like pro-ams and stuff, and this, the shit you see. You got guys hitting it. I've seen a ball go between a guy's legs backwards and hit a cart. I've never seen. He's right-handed and it goes behind him backwards. I've never seen that before. Like, you can see some crazy stuff in pro-ams. Uh-huh. That's for sure. The craziest things that happened to me would be the 13 at Q School.
Explain that now. You can explain that because we didn't the first time because I didn't know you well enough. I didn't want to bring it up.
So, you ever have the moment of you wonder what would happen if something would happen and that would change the course of your trajectory of your career. Yeah. So that was probably one of them. So in the 13 at Q School, I actually shot 74 that day. I was 3 over par. Mm-hmm. I shot with a 13.
So what happened in that hole?
This is round 2. For whatever reason on that hole, I think it was either both preparation and a couple of other things involved. Because, at final stage, you're not allowed rangefinders, and the tee box was actually moved up a little bit. So I actually didn't know how far the cutoff was at the, on the dog leg. So it's a dog leg left to right, and I hit draws. Mm-hmm. Great. The wind's blowing hard. It was really windy that day. It was hard right to left. So I'm like, okay, I hit driver in the practice round. I'll hit driver today. Rip a driver, it's left. I'm like, well, I know I'm not supposed to be hitting driver, but I'm feeling good. I'm like 5-6 under par at that time. So I hit it through the fairway, out of bounds. Okay. So let's take something less.
3 off.
Let's take a 3-iron. So we hit 3-iron. This one's also left, riding the winds. This is even short, crossing, I guess, the out of bounds stakes shorter than the driver. So I'm like, okay, we won't do that twice. So let's hit another 3-iron. Same shot. I'm like, okay. let's hit a 4-iron now. And this one actually kind of dribbles out, hits a hill, goes left, and goes out of bounds. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe with a 4-iron, I'll be able to kind of get something out there, actually chunk block it, and rides the wind, goes down middle of the fairway. Hit it to, I think, somewhere up by the green, chip it, and lip out for a 12 and made a 13. And so that's the whole trajectory of what happened with at Q School, because looking back at it, and everyone's been telling, everyone can say it, if you made a 9 on the hole, I would have had more than one start on the Korn Ferry Tour. I probably would have had 8 at that point. So that's the, the ins and outs of that hole. I went on and shot 74 that day with a 13 and 6 birdies. So,
but you can't live in the past, right?
Exactly. So you just kind of learn from it, and that's why, the level that I was playing at that time is the level. Obviously, it takes a toll mentally and physically. You're like, okay, well, you kind of question yourself at that point, and so that's kind of, that was probably the best golf I've ever played at that week. Apart from the 13. So if I can get to that level, and my thought is if I can get back to that level and the stuff that I've learned and how to, consistently improve over the years, I can still compete. Mm-hmm. So that's my thought process behind it, and still have the belief to be out there and stick it out.
Well, listen, you know what? Sharing that, kudos to you for sharing that.
No, it's a crazy story, and I think I was like I was like trending on Twitter. It was like one of the few times I was actually out there a couple other times too, but yeah.
I could tell you this, and I'll tell you this story about on the back 9 at Loomis Trails, and I may have told you this when I took, it was either an 11 or a 13, and I was playing with a friend, and he wasn't counting my strokes, and I had pumped you crossed water twice, and I ended up. His name was Steve. He goes, "What'd you take on that hole?" His marking score 13. What? I didn't see you hit the. That was 13. Trust me, it was 13. Mm-hmm. He's like, "Holy shit! What did you do?" I said, "I pumped 3 into the water there, and I was short." And it, and you told me I hit a good first shot, like a good shot. It was in the water. You weren't paying attention. You were admiring your shot, but that's the way it goes, and I don't, don't dwell on it. It didn't make me feel good.
No, it doesn't feel great, but
no,
and you still play golf.
Exactly. And then the next hole I par. So like I 17 over 2 holes.
Yeah.
That's good. It's starting to come together.
Exactly.
But that's the game, and that's what keeps us coming back. Is that it's wonderful. That is the game. Now, I just got a couple of closing things that I wanted to, kind of. You're a talented player, obviously, and I'm not just telling you that to blow sunshine up your ass. Others have told me that you're a talented player. We haven't played together, but we're going to play together. We will play together. But as your path, the path forward takes you, your plan is that you're going to go probably down to South America. You're going to work your way back into and get ready for qualifying school to get into that. And in the interim, you're honing your skills, and you have the luxury here of being in the Lower Mainland where the weather's nice, and you've got a sim facility that you can go to.
Exactly. So we're going to give a shout out to Central Golf.
Go ahead.
All those guys out there, and thanks for giving me the opportunity to be indoors and practice. And if anyone wants to come in, can come learn a few things.
And if they wanted to hit you up direct, you're on Instagram.
I'm on Instagram, exactly.
They can get you.
Exactly.
And I'd like to thank you, Chris, for coming out and talking and being honest. It has been wonderful. I always enjoyed chatting with you. I call you a kid. You're still a young kid. and you got a lot of golf left in you.
Thank you.
And I'd like to thank riversidegolf.ca for sponsoring this podcast. And I would like to encourage everyone to subscribe to it. We talk about golf. We're going to talk about equipment. We're going to continue doing this because we love it and we're passionate about it. Chris, thank you so much.
Thanks, Steve.
Appreciate
Thanks for having me.